Good evening, everyone. I know it feels very weird to be sitting here and feeling you're an audience of your own. However, if you look on the screens, you will see many people have joined us online. So I would like to welcome those that have joined us online. You will currently be seeing an empty space in front of you, and the reason for that is because our doctoral graduates, and at this stage they are doctoral candidates, will be welcomed by Professor Ben Anderson, and them and their families will be welcomed. So those of you that have been here before, you know how it goes. Those of you that have joined online, we welcome you. I will do the formal welcoming of our honoured guests the moment that the families join us, as well as everybody else joins in the proceedings. So I would like to first of all just mention before we begin that we have a number of esteemed guests that are both outside as well as online. So we have the Executive Director of Quality Assurance for the Da Vinci Institute, Professor Ben Anderson, who will soon be joining us. We have Dr. Zane Redier, who is our representative of Council. We have Dr. Franzel de Ploy-Cilliers, who is our Chairperson of Senate. We have Professor Alexander Schiffer, who is our keynote speaker. The CEO of the Da Vinci Institute, Professor Harbia Klopper. We have our esteemed laureate recipient this evening, Professor Sam van Aken, who joins us online. And then we're indeed honoured to also have the President of the Da Vinci Institute, the Commissioner of the South African Revenue Services, who's currently on your screens, Professor Edward Kisveta, join us as well. Prof. Kisveta, lovely to see you on screen. I now call upon Professor Ben Anderson to introduce the graduates to you tonight, as well as their families and other community members. I would like to now call on the procession of the Da Vinci Institute to please take your places, and we will welcome the procession, after which Prof. Anderson will welcome the guests. So we now await the arrival of the procession so that we can begin proceedings. You may be seated. Thank you very much to our opera singers for their beautiful voices. So I will just introduce those that are standing before me before Prof. Anderson joins us. So to the far left, we have Louise Fuller, who is the Registrar of the Institute. Next to her is Professor Harbia Klopper, the CEO of the Da Vinci Institute. And next to him is Dr. Zane Redier, who represents Council this evening. And next to him is Dr. Franzel de Ploy-Cilliers, who is the Chairperson of the Senate and represents the Senate of the Institute. And Dr. de Ploy-Cilliers will also officially open this graduation ceremony. And alongside her is Professor Ben Anderson, who is the Executive Director of Quality Assurance of the Da Vinci Institute and also the founder of the Da Vinci Institute. So I now call upon Dr. Franzel de Ploy-Cilliers to formally constitute this as a congregation of the Institute.
By the power vested in me as the chairperson of Senate of the Da Vinci Institute for Technology Management, I hereby constitute this congregation a lawful gathering for the Da Vinci Institute. Thank you.
It now gives me great pleasure to call on Prof. Anderson to welcome our most esteemed guests this evening, our graduates and their families. Thank you, Prof. Anderson.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, so a graduation does not only make sense to the individual who is awarded the qualification. And at Da Vinci, we would like to pay particular thanks and recognition to those individuals who silently, in the background, have supported people in achieving their dreams of concluding their qualification, and particularly for this evening, their PhD qualification with the institution. The first student is Abu Jaber Mayada Haider Hana, and she's accompanied by Maher Altel, Javar Altel, and the supervisors is Professor Lessem and Professor Schaefer, who has been making the commitment tonight to join not just Abu Jaber in her journey as a student for a PhD, but also, as you would have seen on the program, a number of other of our PhD graduates tonight. So a special word of thanks and welcome to Professor Lessem and Professor Schaefer. The next student is Boutros Rachada AJ, and he's online, or she's online, and we want to welcome the candidate. It's also supervised by Professor Lessem and Professor Schaefer. The next candidate is Kasim Imbola Sherifat Olarewanu. It's also online and also supervised by Professor Lessem and Professor Schaefer. The next candidate who's joining us here in person is Mutyanda Muvenga Wellington, accompanied by Sandra Chipunza and Greatman Mutyanda, supervised by Professor Lessem, Professor Schaefer, and Professor M. Mawere. The next candidate is Nel Johan Christian, and he's accompanied by Hanneke Nel, Ivani Jooster, and Hannes Jooster. The supervisors has been Dr. Rika Falyun and Dr. M. Busin. Welcome to you also. The next doctoral candidate is Pillay Rejespri, and accompanied by Pushpa Pillay, Prinesh Pillay, and Nisha Pillay. The supervisor, Dr. A. Parker. The next candidate is online, and it's Shebi Esther, and the supervisors has also been Professor Lessem and Professor Schaefer. And the last doctoral candidate for this graduation tonight is Zongololo Smart, and he's accompanied by Grace Zongololo and Patricia Zongololo, and the supervisors has been Professor Lessem and Professor Schaefer. I really hope that you enjoy the ceremony tonight. It is all about you. It's about your journey of creating a voice which society so dearly needs. I hope you will appreciate the contributions that you have made, and that you will take pride in the fact that you have succeeded in continuing this journey, with the support of the people that you are surrounded, not just your family and your friends, but in particular your supervisors. I would also want to make use of the opportunity just to welcome in particular other guests. the president of the Da Vinci Institute, Professor Edward Kisvetter, who is with us online. Prof. Edward, welcome, and thanks for making your time available in joining us tonight. I would also like to welcome the chair of the newly appointed board, Mr. Frick Landman, who is also with us online. Frick, welcome tonight, and thanks for making your time of sharing this experience with us. Similarly to our colleague, Dr. Rian Steenkamp, also a board member of the Da Vinci Institute. Thanks, Dr. Rian, for making your time available and to share this hour or two in your very hectic schedule. We really appreciate that. We also want to welcome Dr. Chipu Ndutsu, an alumnus of the Da Vinci Institute and CEO of the company called Province. We're very pleased and honor, Dr. Ndutsu, that you make your time available to keep journeying with the Da Vinci Institute and to share with us, in a way almost paying forward, what you've experienced at the Da Vinci Institute. And then I want to say welcome to Dr. Rama Mani. Dr. Rama is the partner of Dr. Alexander Schiffer, and we're really privileged to have met you tonight, Dr. Rama, and thanks for joining us in this event, and welcome. And lastly, I want to say welcome to Mr. Vusi Sindani. I don't know how to refer to Vusi. He's a great friend of the Institute. He's a great ambassador of the Institute. He serves us in so many capacities. And we are always honored to welcome you in our midst. And thank you very much for sharing your time tonight with us. Thank you very much, Mala.
Thank you very much, Prof. Anderson. So now we get to the exciting part of the evening. I get to see all of the graduates instead of behind an oral defense at the moment of excitement that you've all been waiting for. And so I welcome you all here this evening for various reasons. But the most important being that today is an example of your tenacity, of your perseverance, of your courage, and of the call to action that you took in your research. It was such a privilege for me to have sat on most of your oral defenses and to truly see the impact that you made, the return on investment and the social return on investment. That is what it is to be a Da Vincian, is to be able to influence the co-creation of humane, sustainable societies. And for us, that is in each and every one of our students, because it is each and every one of you that is able to take our message out there and take our message forward. I decided to start this evening with a message that I saw one of the American authors, Simon Sinek, who had explained why Nelson Mandela was the greatest leader. And it resonated so well for me about Da Vinci's approach to cooperative leadership. And when we look at people such as the founder of the Da Vinci Institute, Prof. Anderson, and we look at people like Prof. Schiffer and Lessem, who are supervising multiple students here this evening, and we look at people like our president of the Da Vinci Institute, Professor Edward Kisvetter, there is no question in my mind that cooperative leadership is something that Da Vinci really does push, not only within our students and getting students to a cooperative leadership space, but also from within the institution, because cooperative leadership is an inside first before we go outward approach to leadership. So I'm going to play a video for those of you online as well as those of you here about this approach towards leadership and explaining Nelson Mandela as a great leader.
Nelson Mandela, because he is universally regarded as a great leader. You can take other personalities, and depending on the nation you go to, we have different opinions about other personalities. But Nelson Mandela, across the world, is universally regarded as a great leader. He was actually the son of a tribal chief. And he was asked one day, "How did you learn to be a great leader?" And he responded that he would go with his father to tribal meetings. And he remembers two things when his father would meet with other elders. One, they would always sit in a circle. And two, his father was always the last to speak. You will be told your whole life that you need to learn to listen. I would say that you need to learn to be the last to speak. I see it in boardrooms every day of the week. Even people who consider themselves good leaders, who may actually be decent leaders, will walk into a room and say, here's the problem, here's what I think, but I'm interested in your opinion, let's go around the room. It's too late. The skill to hold your opinions to yourself until everyone has spoken does two things. One, it gives everybody else the feeling that they have been heard. It gives everyone else the ability to feel that they have contributed. And two, you get the benefit of hearing what everybody else has to think before you render your opinion. The skill is really to keep your opinions to yourself. If you agree with somebody, don't nod yes. If you disagree with somebody, don't nod no. Simply sit there, take it all in, and the only thing you're allowed to do is ask questions so that you can understand what they mean and why they have the opinion that they have. You must understand from where they are speaking, why they have the opinion they have, not just what they are saying. And at the end, you will get your turn. It sounds easy, it's not. Practice being the last to speak.
So we think it's easy, but it's not so easy. But the reality of cooperatives and having co-ops is that they do take a democratic approach. So it is understandable that we cannot always be democratic. There are times when we need to make decisions. But for the most part, if we were those that listened and allowed for democratic decision-making within organizations and within spaces, then that would lead to far more cooperative leadership. And so when I speak about cooperative leadership, I've really done a lot of reading for this graduation on it because it's something that I have a huge passion about. But it is also something that is key to the tenets of Da Vinci. And the thing about cooperative leaders is why I say about being democratic, why I speak about things like highly adaptable and resilient, is because every person within that institution, within that tribal circle, feels as if they are a cooperative leader. Because if you truly are a cooperative leader, you will let everybody have a voice and have an opinion, not guided by your own. That does not mean you should not shepherd at times the conversations and discussions because it may be needed. But for the most part, the organization and the leadership style that we hope our managerial leaders at the Da Vinci Institute take is one that is cooperative, that allows those within their inner circle to be voluntary in their approach to giving information, that they feel it is a safe environment to share and volunteer things, to be as democratic as possible, but to also let key people in your organization continually be independent, to challenge people to think differently and be different, and to also embrace the concern for community. So one of the things you'll see in the graduation this evening, because a lot of the students followed the integral approach in terms of their research methodology, is you'll see a lot of words that have the word co or speak about communiversities and those type of things as we introduce. And the interesting thing about the word co is that it has Latin origins and it often means to do things together, to be together. And that is why in the integral approach, you will see multiple of these. So I want to say today, because Prof. Schiffer and Lessem, we often have debates about this, and that is I'd like to see co-opetition. So I would like to see leaders who lead to co-opetition, which is basically a different approach to competitiveness, where we go into the marketplace as cooperative leaders and we allow competition to be co-opetition. That's why I kept looking down, because I couldn't get the pronunciation right earlier. And that says something, that when we put the co in front, we suddenly try to pronounce the words. And that is almost how awkward sometimes people feel about cooperative leadership. It does make people feel uncomfortable. It does make people think at times that they are leaderless. But that is the whole point, because if they discover that the inner leader sits within themselves and you can foster that, that is indeed a gift that you will give to this world as managerial leaders. So my name is Marla Coonan, and I am the Executive Dean for Strategy and Stakeholder Management here at the Vinci Institute, and it is my privilege and pleasure to be your Program Director this evening. So the first person that gets to inspire you this evening is none other than Prof. Alexander Schiffer. So I think for me, when I speak about cooperative, I love when we have our oral defenses along with our faculty, because one of the things that we often debate is we debate these areas that are really critical in terms of different methodological approaches and different views. Prof. Schiffer is an academic activist for sure. There is certainly no other way to describe it, but a passionate educator, somebody who takes integral philosophy. And I know, Prof. Schiffer, you're a poet, and so I say that you certainly make integral poetic, that is without doubt. He is the co-founder of Transform Academy for Integral Transformation, situated in Geneva, Switzerland. He's the co-founder of the global movement Home for Humanity. He's a professor at the Vinci Institute and is somebody, and also at St. Gallen University in Switzerland. He's the author and co-author of many books, including Integral Development Transformation Management, Integral Economics, and Integral Research and Innovation. And if you see many of our students' references in their doctoral theses, you will often see the reference to Schiffer and Lessem and the multiple works that Prof. Schiffer has done. He has also authored 2 poetry volumes and a novel, so certainly transdisciplinary in his writing style, which is key to Mode 2 learning. He's also a co-editor of the Transformation and Innovation series and the Integral Green Society and Economy series, both published with Routledge. He has a PhD from St. Gallen University entitled The Development of Leadership Personality. He's lived and worked on all continents, and you can absolutely see his passion and absolute tenacity when it comes to not only the integral approach, but also the need for us as a community to be activists, to be central to making change and social change within society. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker this evening, Professor Alexander Schiffer, who joins us from Switzerland and is here in person with us. Thank you, Prof. Schiffer.
Thank you, Dr. Marla Coonan, for this beautiful introductory words. Thank you to the dignitaries of Da Vinci and Professor Kieswetter on screen, and whoever can't be here, Prof. Benny Anderson. What a joy to be here. What an honor to address you tonight on this culmination of this important life journey. But I guess the word culmination we are going to substitute very soon with another term. It's an honor to be here. Address you tonight. There's 3 things that we definitely want to do tonight, and that I would like to put also into the energy of my short address. The one is, of course, to celebrate. To congratulate you is the other one, and the last one is acceleration. So we have celebration, congratulation, and acceleration. Because we are invited actually to use this opportunity here and today to accelerate the efforts for systems change, for making our contribution to society in a multifold way. And I would like to put tonight's short speech under a reflection on what PhD actually means, and to what degree we might have to look into PhD into a whole new way. Because PhD, the question that I want to ask, and the inquiry I would like to invite us in, does PhD has the power to change the world? Does PhD has the power to change the world? And what is the possible and necessary future of PhD to be a potent vehicle for future building, to be a potent vehicle for building a regenerative future for people and planet. My life has been dedicated to systems change. And my organization, Home for Humanity and Transform, the Academy for Integral Transformation, both co-founded, not as most of my books are co-authored, as you probably know, are all directed towards what I would call planetary regeneration. We are at a time where I do think it's not anymore about systems change, community change alone, societal development. We are at a time where we are called to rebuild civilization as a whole. And the question is, what as PhDs can we contribute to this? I see, from my experience, an enormous potential that we are holding as PhD. However, I do see also a need for reconstruction and deconstruction, an exercise that you have all undergone in your own PhDs. And I would like to invite you on a short journey of reconstruction and deconstruction and reconstruction of PhD. So it will be a co-inquiry. Are you ready? So reconstructing PhD, we begin with a P. And P, you know, the PhD conventionally stands for Doctor of Philosophy. So the first P in PhD, as you know, stands for philosophy. And I would like to substitute or offer as a substitution pioneering. From PhD to pioneering holistic development. So the first P stands for pioneering. We are invited as PhDs to pioneer pathways to paradigm shift. I make it easy tonight because I use alliterations. I use the word P now in this case in multiple ways. Pioneering pathways for paradigm shift. The paradigm, the scientific paradigm that we are still, by and large, adhering to, a mechanical, hierarchical, and monocultural paradigm is still driving much of today's academic world. However, we are all aware that a new paradigm of an interconnected perspective on life is on the rise. Actually, it's a revolution in the making, as Thomas Kuhn, the great scientist of philosopher of science, has said, scientific paradigms never change evolutionary. For him, it was clear, and I also see that it happens revolutionary. If enough people, if enough theories are there to explain the existing reality in a new and viable way, the old paradigm will go. I believe we are at the brink of this moment, and we have a role to play here. Then, from philosophy, we need to connect philosophy and practice. Philosophy alone is not anymore good enough in the way how we are doing PhDs. It has to connect to practice. It has, as Levin says, one of the fathers of action research, nothing is as practical as a good theory. We have to make proof of the pudding of our work. We, Ronnie and I, having worked for so many years together, always added to the so-called conventional viva, the all defense, also a community viva. We wanted to see that the community can own the innovation and the transfer of the innovation into practice live. And the PhD, the actual PhD, may have been present in this community viva, but surely he wasn't the first to speak. Usually he or she was the last. The other piece I want to offer, without which I don't think any systems change can happen, we need to bring passion and purpose into our work. All our PhDs begin with an unpacking of what is the passion and purpose that a person is driven by. We believe also on a personal development issue, without a connection to the deepest value and drivers for why we are moving our innovations into society, it won't going to happen. The energy to move against all odds, to change systems, requires the connection to passion and purpose. Then we come to place and planet. PhD has to be rooted in place. We need to take the environment and context in which we are based on the journey with us so that they can own and embody it. However, The innovation we offer locally has also to make an impact on a global level. We can't anymore do research without the planet in mind. And finally, the move from person to people. PhD is a deeply personal journey where you and each PhD gives his or her all into the process, and yet it has also to move into the arena to making an impact on people and working with and for people. So pioneering is a summary for the first term. We are coming to the second one, H. In the former PhD, the H was a rather small letter with a dot. It was an add-on to philosophy. Didn't mean much. I offer a big H in space, and let's call it holistic. Process, pioneering for holistic development. And when I mean holistic, I mean a couple of things. I mean it has to be whole person. The whole person capacity of the PhD is to be activated. I remind us of Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence. I think of John Heron and his 4 modes of knowing, which have to come into different perspectives of creating knowledge. The whole person is to be activated. We need to look at issues whole systems-wise. This is a great strength of Da Vinci and has always been having a systems perspectives on everything that we do. And the whole systems perspectives need to be aggrandized to a whole life perspective. The dissective way of science to dissect life into pieces and losing the perspective of the whole has killed and is continued to kill us. And I think we have a responsibility. I'm building on the great Leonardo da Vinci, who already in the 15th century said, realize that everything connects to everything else. Realize that everything connects to everything else. We need to hold the full perspective. And that, having everything connected to everything else, brings us back also to our role as humanity on the planet, being part of everything else and being not the one species. So while with Steve Biko, Africa's role is to give the world a human face, it's by now all our role. We have to give the world a humane face. And humane, deep down, means being in service and integrated with all of life. Holistic also means all cultural voices. This is one of the great challenges we have ahead, that we are building in the way how we co-create knowledge, that we are building on the wisdom and knowledge of all our cultural voices. We need to bring every voice and we need to bring every culture into the space. And then when we think holistic, I want to even take it a little bit further. In a world as broken and torn apart in which we are living now, holistic in its root term is also connected to healing. Holding and healing is coming together. And actually, even the holy. I think again of John Heron, who talks about sacred science. There is a space in science for the human spirit, and we are advocating for this. The whole of life has to be seen. I evoke the great Indian yogini Vimalataka. As we deepen our understanding, as we deepen in understanding, the arbitrary division between the inner and the outer disappears. The essence of life, the beauty and grandeur of life is in its wholeness. The essence of life, the beauty and grandeur of life is in its wholeness. And I believe as pioneers for holistic development, the essence of life has to be kept high as we do our work. We come to the D, standing for the doctor. In the conventional sense, I would like to propose to substitute this by the developer. And developer, so pioneering, holistic development, the developer is a developer who builds the future. An impact-driven developer building the future. That is what we are called for. And building the future and developing is not just about developing society, but it has, to my mind, if it is to be sustainable, to include the development of the whole self. The person is part and parcel of the PhD journey, to my mind. I have found, and that was also a journey of frustration, that when the inner journey didn't accompany the outer journey wouldn't last. It would go to graduation day, and very often it would collapse back. But if the person would have gone into a fully embodiment of the innovation he or she was driving, then innovation went on. So the D, one could have also argued in our time, could stand for decolonization. And with all my empathy and support for decolonization, very often the decolonial discourse takes us into the past alone. I advocate for a discourse that takes us into the future, building on and transcending decoloniality and moving into developing of the future. Now the D, ladies and gentlemen, could of course also stand for Da Vinci, and as an institute, but also to the great Leonardo. Because if we go back, this man was one of the last of his kind who dealt with all the disciplines known at that time. He combined philosophy and practice. He combined science and art in the most unique way. And he was perhaps one of the greatest pioneers that we know in human histories. Now, Da Vinci could hence be described as a pioneering paradigm shifter, philosopher, practitioner, passion-driven, person-to-planet, whole person, whole system, whole life, daring developer. All the ingredients for Renaissance. And that is what our time is calling us for, Renaissance of Africa and of the world. So, as Renaissance man and woman, we are transcending the individual, usually single man-driven story of Renaissance man into a collective Renaissance man, woman of future building. The future is collective. The future is, yes, I like the term coopetition. I will integrate it into my vocabulary. We need to find ways to working together as man and as woman. And I want to state here that I'm particularly proud that 4 of the PhDs that I primarily supervised, this one, are women. All of the topics have a profound collective driver. As an example, Dr. Boutros in Jordan, driving the collective regeneration of Bilad el-Sham, the original lands of Palestine and Syria and Lebanon and before, reconstructive collectively a story which is in dire urge to be reconstructed. Sister Esther Shebi in Nigeria, working on integral fertility, empowerment of women for Africa, with women for women, a profoundly collective journey. Mayada Abu Jaber, working collectively with women for a feminist economy in Jordan. What a topic! Individually impossible, only collectively possible. Of course, there is the individual journey, and there is the individual stand you have to make, proving that you've done the journey. But the collective actually has to override it ultimately and will take us into the future of making the feminist economy a reality long term. And Landere Kazim Abimbola from Nigeria, working on communipreneurship with women entrepreneurships in the slums of Ajegunle in Nigeria, collectively driving an agenda for a new education. So, I do believe we need to break out somehow the straitjacket of the over-individualized PhDs, and I want to thank Da Vinci for its enormous pioneering spirit to continuously invite also the collective into our journeys. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's about lifelong Renaissance. This is Renaissance time. You are Renaissance men and women. The journey is lifelong, it's life-based, and it's whole life. I would like to imagine together with all of you, imagine PhDs across the planet working in that spirit of creating PhDs as pioneering holistic development and working together, finding ways of connecting these fields of knowledge and impact creation. Imagine. Imagine all the PhDs. I mean, where would we go? Huh? I want to conclude with twofold. I want to bring the Afro-American activist, novelist Maya Angelou into the room. She wrote, "Do the best you can do until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better." And finally, I want to share a short poem written for you, for the candidates of today sitting here and those on screen who we dearly miss in this room. And the poem is for you. The whole of life is calling us into embodiment of newer futures. The whole of life is calling us into embodiment of newer futures. Whatever can be fathomed by the spirit, heart, and mind, whatever can be fathomed by the spirit, heart, and mind oozes ripeness, readiness. Whatever can be fathomed by the spirit, heart, and mind oozes ripeness, readiness. Ours is a journey beyond borders. Ours is a journey beyond borders. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the ones we have been waiting for. The doors of Kairos are wide open. This is our time to actualize a true tomorrow. This is our time to actualize a true tomorrow. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Schiffer. I'm sure you can agree, inspiring indeed. So in terms of Da Vinci, Prof. Schiffer, I'd like to add another P, and that is that he was a polymath. So that is somebody who really does transcend all disciplines. And I think from that perspective, it is really important when we speak about that one of the central things at Da Vinci, as you all know, is about co-creating realities. It is our brand promise to all of our students that we would co-create realities. And from what Prof. Schiffer has said, it is critical for us as a society and as humanity to co-create multiple realities, viewing the world through multiple lenses that have been deconstructed and reconstructed. In the TIPS Managerial Leadership Framework, which is central to our offering here at the Da Vinci Institute, we speak about engagement as one of the areas which is about the management of innovation and the management of people. So when you bring in people and you want to see innovation, you need to engage creative networks. You need to have a deep and embedded understanding of cross-cultural engagements. You need to be able to facilitate conversations. You need to be able to have emotional and social intelligence. And these are all critical areas that one needs to actually have whenever we are co-doing anything. But the beautiful thing about co is that because we're doing things together, we are connecting and collecting the dots on a continual basis. And we are able, in terms of this co, to be able to actually get other people's views, other people's opinions, and truly have that circle that we speak about. And a circle has no beginning and no end. And that is why it is something that is very inclusive. So I hope that in our co-created journeys, we always remember the circle of holism, the holistic that should be part of any decision. In the 21st century, we should not be engaging strategy or business or any type of thinking without bringing in this construct around cooperative engagement, without bringing in areas like critical thinking, creative thinking, design thinking. It is really important that the return on investment and social return on investment and being community activists is brought into strategic imperatives in all organizations, business endeavors, industries, politics, and the likes. And most importantly, that as an education institution, as institutions of higher learning, that we never forget to co-create knowledge and to share in this knowledge. So I hope each and every one of you, when you come up here today, as you sit for the last few seconds, having your previous title and you're about to be bestowed the title of doctor, it comes with a huge weight of responsibility to co-create humane, sustainable societies, to influence the co-creation of ecosystems that actually make a difference to the world, that have a social impact as much as they do a return on investment from a business perspective, a growth perspective, and an economic perspective. And that's what we believe make Da Vincians different. You are polymaths. You are the modern Renaissance human. I will not say man or woman. I will say human, because some of us do not want to be defined by gender. And the research that every one of you conduct, that is what is breaking the barriers. That is what is remarkably Renaissance. So I would like to thank you, Prof. Schiffer, for engaging us and on deconstructing the PhD, because it is critical that we know the social responsibility that comes with this qualification. But now the time you have all been waiting and grueling for is here. So I'm going to do the formal proceedings, so just so I can let you guys know how it works here. And for those of you online, that I know some of you can't share with us, but we've got multiple faculty represented, as well as students and family members and executives in terms of industry, government, and our Council and Senate. So I'm going to request the Chairperson of Senate in a few moments to grant me permission to be able to call out your names and confer this qualification on each of you. During this time, we will not interrupt with any discussions around speeches or anything related to that, because it is the moment when you are going to receive your qualification. It is also the moment where I'm going to ask the Chairperson of Senate to pick up the mace and to mace you. It is a tradition. She will just lightly tap it in your direction, don't worry. And then we've got our photographers standing here to capture the moment. They say an image is worth 1,000 words. I think it is worth a lifetime of memories. So please do smile, enjoy the moment. We are maskless for the first time at many graduations. But remember, we have intimate graduations at the Institute for a reason. So we have multiple graduations in a week so that we are able to share in the moment. So don't run across, because if you do, I'm going to stop you. Please, if your family members want to take a photo, enjoy the moment, stand up, clap, shout, ululate, any cultural symbol, please feel free to do so, because this is your moment to stand and to shine. So when you come up, I will not refer to you as doctor, but as you leave, you will be referred to as doctor. And the last part is just in terms of, we've got the videos that our graduates have prepared for the audience online and here, as well as to their fellow graduates, to be able to express in words what, in very short, their thesis and their contribution of their research was. So I will call up their names, and then I will state the title of their research as well as their supervisors, and then we will play the video, after which you will then step forward and you will be maced and take your photo, and then you will step forward and you will get capped by our registrar over there. So I would like to please request, Chairperson, if I could please request you to confer the qualification Doctor of Management in Technology and Innovation on the candidates that I present to you today. Chairperson of Senate, if you could please get the mace so we may start proceedings. I would like to please call on Prof. Schiffer and Lessem to join us on stage to congratulate the students that we are going to call up first. You are welcome to come up when the student comes up if you would prefer, and then when they take their photos, as the video will first play. So, or alternatively, you're welcome to stand. It's up to you, because they will remain seated. So it's up to both of you if you'd like to stand for the duration. You're going to stand, stay seated? Okay. So I would like to, as the two professors come up, they will be standing over there and they will be welcoming the graduates. But our first candidate this evening, this side, Mayada. The first candidate this evening I call up to stand here beside me is Mayada Hader Hana Abu Jabir. Congratulations. Mayada's thesis title is Emancipating Women in Jordan via an integral framework for a regenerative, eco-feminist economy, the case of economic and societal renew in southern Shonay. I think I've pronounced that incorrectly. And her supervisor was Professor A. Schiffer and her co-supervisor, Professor R. Lessem. We will now listen to your video before you take the stage.
So my PhD objective was basically women economic participation in the Arab world and in the region is among the lowest in the world. And there is injustices when it comes to women participation in the economy, be it in Jordan, the MENA region, or worldwide. The subjugation of women is very much linked also to the degradation of nature, since both of them give life. So I wanted to look at an eco-feminist model for economic renewal within societies and within communities, and look at global models and try to see how they can be adapted on the local context. For the management of people, I work within my community of Southern Shune in what is called as the Fikr circles or Halaqat al-Fikr, and these are circles that we sit together in a safe environment where there is no practice of power, and we listen to another, and there is a knowledge co-creation and co-sharing. In the management of systems, I went and dug deeper into the Arab cultural systems and revived the culture of Hima, which is the protection of land, also a customary gathering of tribes and knowledge, and they create and share knowledge among each other, and they discuss important issues to solve it. And the important issue here is the protection of nature and the emancipation of women for them to find their own voice and choice in their future. So the benefit of the PhD to Da Vinci is I become part of a community, a network, where we have the shared knowledge, where I am able to share my emancipative model of societal renewal, and in specific of a feminist economy, an eco-feminist economy, and how we can actually contribute together to the sharing of knowledge and the knowledge creation within Da Vinci. Within my company, we created a model in which within our staff, we had to break the power dynamics. We found a way of working collaboratively together. We started introducing innovation, introducing new methods of understanding the lived experiences in rural areas and in marginalized communities, and bringing the voices and their knowledge to decision makers and to policy makers.
Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Mayada Hader Hana Abu Jabir. Congratulations. Mayada? Okay, you see, when you're the first one, it's always the toughest one. So Mayada, your turn now, and Prof. Lessem and Schiffer, if you can come and stand here when the student comes up. I think it'll be easier to stand with Franzel going forward. So you can stand on either side of her, of Mayada. Prof. Lessem as well to come forward. The camera person is over there. And then big smiles. So at Da Vinci, we learn through doing. So now you all know what you have to do next as you get called up. So poor Mayada had to be the guinea pig for this one. And so thank you very much. Right, so Mayada, continue on your way as you go along. So I'm now going to speak, but I ask you to try your best to not be distracted as Louise turns around to cap you. Face the camera over there. So smile back at the photographer, and then you can look at your family, I promise. Okay, so now once you've been capped, I would like to say to Dr. Mayada Abu Jaber, congratulations, and we say to you today, thank you for your contribution. You've made an immense contribution. It was a privilege for me to listen to your oral defense, but also to read your thesis. I think what you have done for the community in which you live is nothing short of remarkable. You come from a society that, as you say, when we speak of peace, it pushes patriarchal societies, and the fact that you've looked at it through an ecosystemic perspective is remarkable in itself. But the fact that you've taken the feminist approach to really try and empower women in communities that are often not communities in which women have been empowered is incredible. But for me, when you presented, the fact that you have implemented, the fact that you have co-created this reality already for people was nothing short of amazing and remarkable. And you used a circular approach, which means that you really do understand the true depth and meaning of being a cooperative leader. So now when I introduce you, please smile to your family who really want to take a photo of you. A big round of applause to Dr. Mayada Hader Hannah Abu Jaber. Congratulations. It is also a moment that I want to say for the entire Abu Jaber family. It is our families and communities that hold us together. And the fact that you are supported by your family on the emancipation of women is really incredible. So we say to you, congratulations, and we can see your very proud family and how proud they are to be here. Thank you for traveling all the way to be with us. It is indeed our honor and privilege to welcome you as a Da Vinci Institute alum. Congratulations. I would now like to introduce our next candidate who is going to be graduating online. So if you'd like to put your camera on, Rachta, I would like to congratulate Rachta Butros, who will be graduating online. Rachta, wonderful to see you again. Rachta's thesis title is Kafilat al-Hikmah wal-Taharrur, Integral Wisdom for Embodied Healing and Collective Regeneration in Bilad Asham. I want to say to you today, Rachta, congratulations, and although you can't join us, you were supervised by both Prof. Schiffer and Prof. Lessem, who sit here with pride today, and we all share in this moment with you as we listen to your video.
My study contributes to the field of decolonization from the specific geographies of Bilad al-Sham, the Arab Levant, surfacing new possibilities, new experiences, and new intellectual and human connections. But it also moves beyond the post-colonial discourse into what has been termed a reconfigured geopolitics of hope that arose from the Arab revolutionary uprisings of the early 2010s. The research takes this idea of a reconfigured geopolitics of hope and brings it into daily practice. As a result of this study, myself and my 10 co-researchers are co-creating containers for safer discovery of self, land, and relationship, leading to more choice. We are practicing and sharing decolonization through our on-the-land initiatives in Egypt, Lebanon, Palestine, Egypt, and the Nile Basin. We're actualizing and sustaining these initiatives in collaboration with one another and holding each other and ourselves accountable to not repeating the old patterns that we seek to change. We're also engaging in vertical research into the issues that most matter to our people, land, and communities. The study is relevant to the scholarly community in that it illuminates a geographical area that is often overlooked and lays the ground for an ontology of research for the Arab world. It also creates opportunities for trans-border and transcontinental collaboration. The study takes my own organization, Hamzat Wasl, that I founded in 2008, to a new level. It allows Hamzat Wasl to truly become a trans-border and transcontinental organization that hosts people and ideas that are people who have groundbreaking ideas and initiatives that arise from and are nourished by a feminism of the soil and soul, the philosophy that underpins this research, and to build collaborative connections between and among them. The study is an invitation to society at large to engage in pluralism that mirrors the multi-layered, multi-ethnic, and multifaceted nature of our world, our societies, and our cultures. One that is grounded each in our own rooted histories, and one that stands with the oppressed and against all forms of hegemony.
Thank you very much, Raghda. So in abstention, and in terms of physical abstention, but physical presence, we now will graduate Raghda Boutros. Congratulations. Raghda, I can now officially call you Dr. Raghda Boutros. Congratulations again for that. But I want to comment on two things. I think that one of the things that the COVID-19 pandemic and feeling so isolated showed us was just how much we as human beings missed being plural. So I want to say the fact that you really looked at things from a very pluralistic approach really is something that should be celebrated in a world that is often disconnected. Technology is such an easy way for us to disconnect. And we have to remember that if we really want to understand the fifth industrial revolution, we have to get this dance between humanity and technology right. We have to be able to understand the importance of being plural in society and co-creating with society. But the other thing which spoke to what Prof. Schiffer said today was your approach to decolonization. You really looked towards the future. You come from a territory that has really been butchered in many ways in terms of territorialism and multiple other areas when we look at things like strife and challenges that have been faced within the Middle Eastern region. And it is wonderful to see that somebody's taking a positive approach to look at absolutely getting rid of this view that we should be shrouded in colonialism and rather trying to reignite co-creation rather than focusing on that colonialist past. So congratulations for looking at alternative ways to regenerate ourselves, to remain plural. Dr. Boutros, I hope you celebrate tonight and that you really do take pride for you and your family in this remarkable achievement. We are celebrating here in South Africa for you, and we hope you will celebrate alongside all your loved ones. Congratulations. Dr. Boutros, if you'd like to comment, you can for a moment. You can unmute your mic.
I just want to say thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be with and among you these past few years, and I wish I could be there in person. But thank you very much, and congratulations to all the other graduates.
Thank you, Dr. Boutros. So we now, it sounds weird, hey, at first. So we'd now like to call our next candidate who is also joining us online. So we would like to say, to show your face, Sherifat. So we say to Sherifat Olanrewaju, Kazim Abimbola, congratulations. Thesis title, now I'm getting tongue-tied, African Integral Communipreneurship, see what I said, Prof. Schiffer, with a Communipreneurship Education, a transformative educational initiative for and with communipreneurs and entrepreneurs in Ajenlu, Nigeria. Congratulations. Sherifat, I think you're joining us. I'm not sure if you can show yourself on camera if you'd like to, but on behalf of everyone here, your supervisors are Prof. Schiffer and Prof. Lessem. We would like to congratulate you on your graduation today, and we will now listen to your recording.
My thesis is on African Integral Communipreneurship Education. And the aim and objective of my study was to unearth the African roots and concept of enterprise and entrepreneurship, and also to co-evolve a value-based educational program rooted in African value system and philosophy of enterprise. In the course of my research journey, I was able to create the educational framework that is African-oriented and for local entrepreneurs. I explored and also examined the African cultural context to bring out what was unique and authentic to us in the area of enterprise and economics. Such concepts I looked into and also adopted is the Imwaya apprenticeship model, which is attributed to the Igbo tribe in Nigeria. And for my research, I understood that Africans and Africa are communal in orientation, which opposes the Western dynamics of individualism, which is the basis for the basis and foundation of capitalism. It was quite an interesting journey. Most especially, I was opportune to work with the local community with diverse ethnics, diverse language, and seriously affected and with intense poverty at its peak in that community. The local entrepreneurs, they run business just for daily survival with no form of sustainability or long-term plans in place. But in the course of the research work, the program helped to awaken a new reality of consciousness and also to make them see the capacity that they have and seeing that business go beyond short-term gains, but more towards a long-term gain and survival as well.
Thank you very much. Sherifat, if you can and show your camera, we would like to congratulate Sherifat Kazim Abimbola. Congratulations on this remarkable achievement. So, given that you're graduating online and you haven't had to walk across, I can officially call you Dr. Kazim Abimbola. So congratulations, Doctor, on this achievement. And I want to say that we've often spoken about the fact that entrepreneurship and being entrepreneurial is what's going to really transform, particularly the African continent. We are living in a time and an environment where joblessness, poverty, and many other cultural as well as societal ills are very relevant and are front of mind in terms of discussions and things that are being tackled. But the change is what is critical. And I think through this research, we will see a genuine change in terms of really trying to shift the space. So in terms of these transformational education initiatives for and with oh, there you are. Nice to see you. For and with communipreneurs and entrepreneurs, we really do congratulate you and we applaud you for taking this discussion into Africa. We're extremely passionate about entrepreneurship here at Vinci, as you know, and so having you as a Vincian who is going to take this into Nigeria and beyond, and I know you've already tackled it, is really something that is exciting, and we look forward to working alongside you and co-creating on this journey. So we congratulate you, Dr. Kazim Abimbola, on this remarkable achievement, and it's lovely to see you again. If you want to say something, you can briefly say something, and to your supervisors, Prof. Schiffer and Lesem, who are here as well.
Thank you very much. It's been an amazing, interesting journey so far, especially with what we're going to do with my supervisors. And I'm bringing it into I look forward to more impact I'm going to make in Nigeria and also in Africa as well. Thank you very much, my colleagues. Congratulations to all of us.
Thank you so much. We're struggling a little bit with our signal here. We're approaching load shedding, but thank you very much, and we congratulate you and your family on this remarkable achievement, and we look forward to celebrating with you when you're next in South Africa, and enjoy your celebrations this evening. I would now like to introduce our next candidate to you. Congratulations. So Wellington is here with us, so I'm going to pronounce your full name. I know you go by Wellington as we've met, But Muvengwa Wellington Mutyanda, please come forward. Thesis title, A Framework for a Community-Based Approach to Integral Social Technical Development in Africa, a case study of Shiftu village in Zimbabwe, supervised by Prof. Lesem and co-supervised by Prof. Schiffer and Prof. Mawere. Congratulations. We will now watch your recording.
The purpose of this research was to bridge the gap between culture, society, and the technology, focusing on poverty alleviation, which my community suffered for many decades. Through community activation, we employed both integral world model approach, the Da Vinci management of technology, innovation, systems, and people for collection of our data and the processing. The integral world model approach is holistic and multidisciplinary and strategic to community development. The TIPS concepts played a fundamental role in our research journey towards the advancement and adoption of technology, which helped us to enhance our processes, and as a result, we managed to create and develop a dynamic and a unique concepts. The benefits that we now enjoy as a result of this research trajectory, which came as a result of this unique model, the ICTD, which is self-renewal and is designed to adapt to changes in nature, to changes in technology, to changes in cultural diversity, is now the creation of greenhouses, which has brought a lot of change in terms of the use, revenue generation, and as we speak, the community can now send their children to formal education, improved health facility, and the creation of employment. To my community, the future is in our hands. We see many possibilities towards the regeneration of our community. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Prof. Lesem and Schiffer, if you could please come up to congratulate. We introduce to you Muvengwa Wellington Mutyanda. Congratulations. I think for me, one of the critical areas, as you smile for your photo, is around the socio-technical contribution. When you look at TIPS, and you really did it so well, Wellington, in terms of the way you looked at it, was that technology and people, when we look at the management of technology and people, one of the key things is about being aligned. And I think your alignment was something that you were really able to take very seriously in terms of understanding your community's needs, as well as just a general understanding around how to manage technology and people in a truly systemic and innovative way. I really think that this is not only already making a difference, but will continue to, and I look forward to you shifting this and spreading it throughout Africa, and we look forward to seeing much research and many successes to you and to the whole Mutyanda family. Congratulations. I'm very happy to hear some ululation. I need it a little bit louder. Yes, yes, thank you. Are you not going to say anything now? Are you keeping quiet? Are you very proud? So, to be a Mutyanda today. So, we now are going to introduce you to Dr. Muvengwa Wellington Mutyanda. Congratulations, Dr. Mujanda. I see very proud and smart people before you. You're about to get a very big hug and love. But thank you mostly for what you contribute to the world and to the community. You're an example to many. Congratulations. To Profs Lesem, Schiffer, and Mawere, congratulations on supervising this study. Indeed, a beautiful, beautiful moment. Thank you, Prof. Schiffer and Lesem, for the students that you have come up to congratulate and for this group of students. But I'm now going to call on Prof. Habia Klopper as the CEO of the Da Vinci Institute to congratulate our next student. I've already seen your supervisor online, Johan. I saw Dr. Rika Viljoen just now, her camera was on. So I now call up Johan Christian Nel. Johan's thesis title is Performance-Based Remuneration Systems, Exploring the Economic Value to Industry. He was supervised by Dr. R. Viljoen. He was co-supervised by Dr. M. Busin, and I have seen Rika, so congratulations to you as well as your supervisors on this remarkable achievement, and we will now watch the video.
So the main aim of the research was then to derive meta-insights into how performance-based remuneration systems can add value to industry. And through using performance-based remuneration systems as a facilitator, how can we ensure that there is fair and equitable earnings distributed between the executives of companies and the shareholders or investors? The use of the TIPS framework was put into an integrated process where I actually took this real workplace concern and placed it at the center and looked at how can we ensure that the necessary tools are put into place, that the human aspects are integrated, and that we synthesize the outcomes. And by putting the problem, the actual problem, at the center of the research, I then achieved working and integrating the TIPS framework into the research. A framework has been developed that is based on systems theory and that is systemic in nature. And that framework, by following that framework, remuneration committees and boards of companies can ensure, if there is free cash flow to fund the incentives and the shareholder returns, that can be distributed in a fair and equitable manner. To society at large, the important thing is that we always want to reduce the gap between the top paid earners in the company and the bottom paid, and to ensure that there is also the distribution of free cash flow in the investment into society at large.
Thank you so much. So I could speak a lot about the contributions that Johan's study has made, because it really is focused on this dance between remuneration systems, and that is the people, and systemic thinking, and a systemic approach to remuneration, which is something that really will shift the HR practices within both the South African as well as the global market. But Johan, I call you up this evening to come forward, and I congratulate Johan Christian Nel on this remarkable achievement. As Johan comes forward to be congratulated, and I will let you smile for your photo first, I want to say that Prof. Schiffer brought up the personal nature of a doctorate. And I may not be able to contain my own emotion, but Johan, I was in his oral defense, and he lost his daughter. So I feel emotional now for you, Johan. So he disclosed to us that it was because of her that he actually finished in the end. So tonight we congratulate you in the memory of your daughter. Congratulations. It is indeed a beautiful testament to her and to her memory. So tonight we say, Dr. Johan Christian Nel, congratulations. You have reached a milestone that you didn't feel that you could at the time. Congratulations to you and to your family. You have certainly done them all proud. Congratulations. Dr. Fulyun, I saw you earlier, but I'm now not seeing your face, but congratulations to you and to Dr. Busin as well. There's Dr. Fulyun. Nice to see you, Rika. So we will now call on our next student, and Prof. Klopper, you will remain standing for our next student. So we would like to call on Rajaspree Pillay. You can come forward. I would like to say to the whole Pillay family that tonight is indeed an important night because it is a night of light. It is Diwali. So we wish you all a happy Diwali, and it is certainly a night of celebration and of light and of you bringing the light to your family as we congratulate you this evening on this very auspicious occasion, but also a very holy time within your own faith and culture. Your thesis title was Towards Achieving Green Economic Empowerment Through the Inclusion of Waste Reclaimers in South Africa, a case study within the Ekurhuleni municipality. Supervisor Dr. A. Parker. We will now hear your recording on how you have deconstructed your study.
The aim of the study was to understand the landfilling practices within the Ekurhuleni municipality. It also wanted to understand the waste minimization and waste reclamation practices that were adopted and practiced within this municipality. I incorporated the TIPS model by realizing that this was a transdisciplinary engagement. It required problem-solving orientation and furthermore knowledge creation through the application of processes. So this required me to then adopt a systems thinking approach as an opportunity to solve both environmental and socio-economic challenges that were faced within the Ekurhuleni municipality. My study ultimately led to a rethink of social cohesion in terms of the operationalization and integration of waste reclaimers, job creation, diversion of waste away from landfills, the protection of primary resources and the environment, and socio-economic upliftment. From the municipality perspective, it gave them food for thought in terms of operationalizing informal waste reclaimers to allow for the diversion of waste away from landfills and the salvaging of landfill airspace, as well as generating further income for the municipality. From society at large, my study contributed by requiring individuals to value the environment, to rethink the way they deal and manage their waste, and for them to understand and respect reclaimers. It ultimately required for one to embrace the concept of green environmental and economic empowerment. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. You may now step forward. We congratulate the entire Pillay family as Rajaspree steps forward, but we say today as well, for the vulnerable and marginalized in the economy that you specifically looked at uplifting. It was a beautiful study to actually hear you defend, but also the ecosystemic approach that you took to really trying to shift this space in multiple ways. So we say to the Pillay family, this certainly is a beacon of light tonight, but also that Dr. Pillay, as she's about to be called, is someone who really wants to bring light to the world in terms of transforming the economy for those that are often marginalized and vulnerable within the various sectors, and to bring a really cooperative approach to it. You suggested co-opting as part of that. So really, to the theme of that, we congratulate you, and we look forward to the implementation, not only in the region that you specifically looked, the municipality that you specifically looked, but throughout the country and hopefully the continent as well. Congratulations, Dr. Pillay, and happy Diwali. The next student we are congratulating online. So Sister Esther Shebi, this is the last time you'll just be sister, because soon you'll be Sister Doctor or Doctor Sister. But your contributions to your own community are already incredible in the work that you've done. Your thesis title was absolutely fascinating, Integral Fertility as a Holistic Approach to Women Empowerment and Social Transformation in and for Africa, a case study of Tudun-Wada community in Jos, northern Nigeria. Your supervisors were Prof. Schiffer and your co-supervisor, Prof. Lessem. We now listen to your recording before we welcome you online.
The aim and objectives of the project included, for instance, to investigate how integral fertility as a holistic approach to women empowerment and social transformation in and for Africa could concretely be adopted for the emancipation of women generally, and particularly women facing fertility challenges in my community in Tudun-Wada. TIPS is all about working with people and using innovative ways. So we use innovative measures to co-create solutions to fertility challenges in my community. We worked in collaboration with various women groups, strengthening their skill of collaboration and networking. We devised new management techniques and skills for managing particularly resources, revolving loan resources, which we co-created with them within this research period. And then a collective management of social innovation processes and action to emancipate themselves and their community. The main accomplishment for this study, we were able to redefine the concept and expanded the concept of fertility from biological to integral, which includes other perspectives. This unleashed women's potential and possibilities for empowerment and transformation as they became consciously aware, alert, and vitalized, discovering that there are new ways of being fertile as women in the community. To the entire society, I think we now have a new concept that is sustainable in transforming and empowering women, in particular in Africa and in the world at large.
Thank you so much, Sister Esther Shebi, to now be called Dr. Esther Shebi. We congratulate you and your supervisors as well as your whole family. If we could see you on camera, Dr. Shebi, it would be lovely. I want to comment that you spoke about fertility. Nice to see you again. That you spoke about fertility, Dr. Shebi, but having been part of that oral defense, the thing that is stuck in my mind is the fact that you looked at managing resources, yes, for fertility as well as infertility, but it was something more than that for me. It was about the choice of those who chose to define fertility as something besides bearing a life. And I think the fact that you've empowered women who are pressurized to have children at a very young age, and the fact that you are empowering them to a different approach and thought to what fertility can look like is really that remarkable gem that comes out of your study. So your contribution in terms of managing resources and your contribution in terms of the social innovation practices are critical to this. But it is the fact that you have given people within your society the choice to define themselves and their role in a different way. I congratulate you and I congratulate the Shebi family. I know you told the story of your own grandmother who wondered why you did not want to have children, and this was for her something very astounding. I have no doubt today that your grandmother shines down on you with pride and knows that your fertility was something else. You took amongst you many children, and you have supported and grown multiple communities. It does not have to come from our womb to mean that we have been a mother to many. So congratulations to you today for your contribution as a sister, as well as tonight as a doctor and somebody who has contributed to research. Congratulations. Dr. Shebi, you are welcome to say something if you wish to. We are still a little bit away from load shedding, so we can hopefully hear you.
I just want to say it was a profound moment and an amazing experience for myself as an individual, for women in Africa and women beyond Africa. I'm grateful to all those who journey.
Sister Shebi, we're losing you now. We've unfortunately lost our connection. We can see you, but we can't hear you. It's gone blurry. So we congratulate you. We did hear the first part, but we didn't hear the last part. So we congratulate you and the entire Shebi family. Congratulations. Our last student to graduate this evening is Smart Zongalolo. We call you up, as well as Prof. Schiffer and Prof. Lessem, and we would like to congratulate you on your thesis title, Communiversity and Innovation Ecosystem Approach to Economic Development for Zimbabwe, supervised by Professor Schiffer and co-supervised by Professor Lessem. Our photographers are busy fixing your tassel as we play the recording.
Communiversity as a concept is primarily about closing the gap that exists between communities, industry, and academia, thereby releasing the genius which sits within the various communities. It is really about bettering the ecosystem players individually and as a collective. My research was primarily using integral methodology, but we also embedded the TIPS framework. So much so as it related to my research. People in communal learning and transformational journey, bringing that systematic thinking in people, research aligned to the innovation, and then technology aligned to socio-economic laboratories. What I managed to achieve through this research was the creation of a community for integral development economics in Africa, which is core idea, whose vision is to nurture, to develop, to implement socially driven solutions which are grounded through core idea, whose main thrust is to regenerate the society, regenerate Zimbabwe. The benefits of my research are on four folds. The first one, as an individual, as myself, I saw a transformational journey within myself, coming in as a manager and executive, and now impacting communities as a transformational agent. But more so for Vinci, core idea is giving a platform for postdoctoral research to have a platform for further research. In terms of my organization, Supply Line, they've benefited a lot being the pilot socio-economic laboratory within the university space. To the society at large, it is really some of the contribution around the board of knowledge which has come through this research, like what I profiled the models, which are quite applicable in terms of upliftment of society, and as a result, enabling communities to adopt a new economy which is relevant and practical using the locally available resources.
As SMART steps forward and stands beside his supervisors and Senate, everyone wants to give you a round of applause, so let me not interrupt as Prof. Lessem and Schiffer stand next to you. So to the entire Zongololo family, I congratulate each and every one of you, but to you, SMART, I say that it is incredible to see your study alive and well, because we've discussed it amongst us, and as you know, we are ready to create our own communiversity alongside you and many other African counterparts, a collective of actually giving into the system, or the ecosystem as you refer to it, is what's going to change economic development through education. So to you, SMART, I say congratulations on a personal level for having achieved this goal. But on a communiversity level, I want to say thank you for involving all of us and everybody's thinking in your approach. I truly believe, as do all of us at Da Vinci, that communiversities are the way of the future. We look forward to co-creating the first one alongside you. So congratulations to you, Dr. Smart Zongololo, as well as to your supervisors, Prof. Schiffer and Lessem, who are driving this communiversity context to take both to Africa and to the rest of the world. Congratulations. I must hear a little bit more ululation since this is the last, so we've got to hear a little bit more. As you stand proud, Dr. Zongololo, I hope that you and the entire Zongololo family are really immensely, there we go, proud of this achievement. I waited for it to go over. Proud of this achievement as you stand before us today, Dr. Smart Zongololo. Congratulations. Thank you to Prof. Lessem and Schiffer, who had multiple students here this evening, and we congratulate you. So the ceremony continues with a presentation of the Senate Awards. I'm going to be calling on Dr. Deploy Saliers as the head of Senate. We have 2 Senate Awards this evening. Senate Awards recognize excellence in students, and this evening there are 2 doctoral students from the graduates that graduated in 2021. So next year it will be your cohort from the May and October graduations that would be eligible for this award. And this evening we award 2 really deserving candidates who are going to be receiving their awards. Thank you very much for that. So the first award, I will give these to you to keep in safe hands, Dr. Deploy Saliers. The first award that we are extremely delighted to inform you is the Senate Award that is given to the Da Vinci doctoral student, and it is called the Da Vinci Doctoral Academic Excellence Award. The aim of the Da Vinci Doctoral Academic Excellence Award is to acknowledge academic excellence demonstrated by a Da Vinci doctoral graduate. This is to serve as an example of remarkability for fellow Da Vinci students, and lastly, promote the Da Vinci Institute through the quality of its students' contribution to valuable research. There is no more deserving candidate in your cohort than you, Dr. Shannon Nell. Congratulations. Dr. Nell continues to contribute to healthcare in our country. She's a leader within the healthcare field, and it is indeed an absolute privilege for us to award the Doctoral Academic Excellence Award to you tonight, Dr. Nell. Congratulations. Dr. Nell's research impacted the nursing sector as well as the healthcare sector in a critical time. She worked tirelessly towards improving not only conditions for nurses, but their approach to nursing as well. Dr. Deploy Cilliers, do you need a doctorate to do this? We will be awarding a new doctorate this evening to you, Dr. Deploy Cilliers, an honorary one. Congratulations, Dr. Shannon Nell. You're a worthy recipient of this award. Congratulations. The second Senate award being awarded this evening is the Da Vinci Community Engagement Award. We've said how important community engagement is. The Da Vinci Institute has incorporated community engagement and a commitment to a sustainable society as key components in all of its offerings. It is also our dream to influence the co-creation of humane, sustainable societies. This award recognizes a student who demonstrated a commitment towards community involvement, and as you've heard from many of the students tonight, co-created research and community involvement is critical, and students who've included community activities into their learning and research. The Institute defines community as a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common, including being unified by an organization or unifying interests. From the class of 2021, we introduce to you our recipient this evening of the Da Vinci Community Engagement Award, Dr. Daud Taranyike. Congratulations. Woo! Dr. Taranyike, I waited the whole night for that, so I am very excited. Come up and have your photo. Dr. Taranyike, your continued commitment, they're going to kill me if you don't look at them. Your continual commitment to community engagement, and making your own and other communities better really does live up to the Da Vinci dream of influencing the co-creation of humane, sustainable societies. You've made it your life's work and your life's mission to continue to engage communities and communities of practice and community learning. And we congratulate you and the entire Taranyike family tonight. Dr. Daud Taranyike, congratulations. Congratulations. Now that is receiving an award with spirit. All right, so now is indeed an exciting time of the evening. Every single graduation in October, remember we have graduations in May and October, we induct a new laureate at the Da Vinci Institute and we give a laureate award. This year we have a very unique candidate who is going to be congratulated by Dr. Zain Redia on behalf of Council. It is voted on and decided on through various nominations and through the Council, and he will introduce the candidate formally to you. But I want to say that a highlight for us of the Laureate Award is because of its meaning. The construct of a laureate denotes a mark of honor, a person who's awarded with this award for their outstanding and remarkable achievement. And it is about a social achievement that is really their contribution to society. Our 2022 laureate is certainly fitting of this prestige, and it goes to Professor Sam van Aken, who is joining us online from New York. But whilst Dr. Redia will introduce Professor van Aken, I want to just say that your hybridized fruit trees fascinate me completely. When you want to talk about transdisciplinarity and you want to talk about ecology and all those areas and green economies that we've heard tonight, the fact that you've hybridized a tree that bears over 40 fruits on the same tree is just fascinating when you think of people like the Renaissance man we spoke about, because to take science and art, to take science and agriculture as you do in your profession, and to actually do this in a way that transforms societies, the way that you plant these trees in various places around the United States of America and your plans around the world, really is an incredible contribution of community and of society. So to introduce the award and to congratulate you, and we thank you for joining us online from New York, I call on Dr. Zane Reddier.
Thank you, Dr. Coonan. I think we've probably found a solution to world hunger. Professor Duplooy-Cilliers, Professor Klopper, Professor Anderson, Professor Kieswetter, Professors Lessem and Schaefer, Professor Singh, honorable doctors, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is indeed my privilege tonight to present the award on behalf of the Da Vinci Council to Professor Sam van Aken. But before I do the presentation, I would like to make him present in the room to share with you a bit about his work and a bit about him. Professor van Aken is an award-winning contemporary artist and a Syracuse University art professor and associate director of art, whose work bridges traditional and innovative modes of art making, developing artistic genres to create the new perspectives on such themes such as agriculture, botany, climatology, and communication. Professor van Aken's interventions in natural and public realm are seen to be metaphors that serve the basis for a narrative, cites a place of making, and in some cases have even become the basic and the basis of scientific research. His work is thought-provoking and is placed at the intersection of farming, sculpture, and preservation. Born in Reading, Pennsylvania, Sam van Aken received an undergraduate education in art and communication theory. Immediately following his studies, he lived in Poland and worked as a dissident artist under the former communist regime through the auspices of Andy Warhol Foundation and the United States Information Agency. Professor van Aken received his MFA from the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, and since this time has worked and has been exhibited and placed nationally and internationally. He has received numerous honors, including the Joan Mitchell Foundation Award, Association of International Curators Arts and Culture Award, and Creative Capital Grant. Recently, his work has been presented as part of the Nature Cooper Hewitt Design Triennial and the Work Economic Forum, as part of the Seeds Resistance at the Eli and Edith Broad Art Museum in Michigan State New and the New Earthworks at Arizona State University this past spring. One of the most innovative works of his hybridized trees has become the tree of 40 fruit. In an interview with a journalist, Professor van Aken explains that each tree begins as a slightly odd-looking specimen, resembling some kind of science experiment, and for much of the year looks just like any other tree. In spring, the trees bloom and reveals its incredibly striking and thought-provoking example of what can happen when nature inspires us to act. Then over the course of several months, Professor van Aken trees produce an incredible harvest of plums, peaches, apricots, nectarines, and almonds, including many of you that you have likely never to be seen. Thus far, Professor van Aken has created and placed 16 trees in museums, community centers, and private art collections around the country, including the Newton, Massachusetts, Pond Hill, New York, Short Hills, New Jersey, Arkansas, and San Jose, California. Using unique processes he calls sculpture through grafting, Professor van Aken creates trees that grow and support more than 40 varieties of stone fruit, including many heirloom, antique, and native varieties. That is indeed incredible. It's interesting when we go to our core and we start following our heart and we start working with what we have, because we've all been created. It's not about cognitive ability. It's more about creating the opportunities that exist and harvesting what those. We are not defined by our circumstances, but we are defined by our choices. And tonight, Professor, we're grateful for the choices that you make. as you foster new innovation which resonates with the ethos of this university. And so we thank you for your unique and remarkable contribution as you take your place in the galaxy of Da Vinci. It's my privilege and my pleasure tonight to award you this award, which we'll courier to you, and we hope that at some point you'll come and visit our beautiful South Africa with its fertile soils, where you can come and plant your trees.
As you can unmute your mic, thank you so much. As Dr. Redius stands, and he does do looking pretty well, we will let him stand here, and we are indeed grateful for you addressing us this evening here in South Africa.
Thank you. Thank you for such an incredible honor. It particularly means a lot to me coming from the Da Vinci Institute, and it's with its educational mission and philosophy that I share and hold dear. I believe the natural reaction to receiving such recognition is to feel undeserving. We are the outcomes of so many factors of our time, our family, environments, educations, teachers, and I believe that receiving such a recognition is ultimately makes us indebted to the places and to the people who've shaped us. And in this past year, I've lost two mentors. They were two extraordinary teachers to me. And although it's been years since I've benefited from them, I've had the opportunity to reflect on them and other mentors from my past and ones today, to think about what made them so impactful. And in addition to being accomplished, driven to learn and to generate knowledge, to create, I believe what makes them so exceptional is their generosity. It's taking the time to share with me, to invest in me. And as Professor Anderson mentioned at the beginning of this commencement, it's the people in the background, it's the people that are sitting beside you, it's the people photographed with you. And for me, that has been throughout my life, fortunately. Growing up on a farm where you live in proximity to life and birth and death, and in accordance with climate and the weather, I was fortunate to grow up around people that I believe follow the Da Vinci ethos. They're farmers who, where there's no solution to a problem, use their hands and minds to find a way to move forward. And I think that may be where we're at as a globe. And I think so it was an easy leap for me to become an artist. And I think that I try to carry that gratitude and generosity with me. One of the outcomes of the tree of 40 fruit that I could have never anticipated was that once they're planted and they're in a public setting, people become in tune with these trees. They learn when their favorite varieties ripen. And so people from the more affluent neighborhoods and people from the less advantaged neighborhoods both come to one site to share from a tree. And it's something I couldn't have anticipated from, but believe that ethos of generosity carries through. And recently I've moved on to creating whole orchards of grafted fruit trees. And the most recent one is placed in New York City on Governor's Island. And there's 100 trees that are indigenous to, originating within, or historically grown, that all come from New York. And these are fruit varieties that tell the story of the indigenous Lenape culture. They tell the story of colonization, but they also tell the story of displacement, of people that brought seeds and trees with them as a connection to their home. And fortunately, we've been able to create an expanded orchard throughout the city of 100 trees that were given to community gardens. And we try to place the trees back to where they were originally grown. And I have to say, the thing that I believe I'm most proud of, and if there's something that might vie for such a prestigious award that you've given me, is that it's the photographs I've gotten from people as they've received a tree. Many of them living in food deserts where there's no fresh food, and they're planting a tree. So, thank you.
Prof. Van Eycken, Mother Nature has spoken, so we have had an incredibly dry time in Johannesburg. And as you started speaking, the heavens opened and the rain started pouring. And I think there's no better tribute to you than Mother Nature spreading her joy on the African soil. So from Johannesburg, that is now raining, we thank you for bringing us the rains that will bring growth to our land, and for what you do for growing the world through your innovations. And we congratulate you and are indeed honored and look forward to co-creating with you from this year and in many more to come. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Indeed, a worthy recipient. We are going to be load shedding soon, but we do have backup generators, so I'm just going to do two things. The first is that our magnificent opera singers are going to serenade us with God Bless Africa, after which we are going to be addressed by Professor Kisveta, our president of the Da Vinci Institute, the Commissioner of the South African Revenue Services, and also the President in terms of our, the President of Da Vinci Institute and the Commissioner of the South African Revenue Services, but also a cooperative leader. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce him now before the opera starts, so that he can go straight into his discussion if load shedding does begin. So I wanted to say that I'm speaking about cooperative leadership, which is very closely aligned in many ways to servant leadership, which Prof. Kisveta is somebody who speaks very much about. And I think, first of all, Prof. Edward, I just wanted to congratulate you. This week, indeed, Prof. Kisveta got another professorship. He was recognized as a professor of practice at the Northwest University's Business School, and we congratulate you on this. It is indeed an honor fitting because of the fact that you are indeed somebody who brings practice into our communities, and good practice, ethical practice, and practices of integrity. I want to read something that I got from John Horn about cooperative leadership and its similarity to servant leadership. It begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve first. Then conscious choice brings one to aspire to lead that person is sharply different, and it's sharply different from one who is a leader first. This shows us that the natural effect of a servant leader or a cooperative leader is someone who makes that conscious decision to serve first. And you, Prof. Kisveta, certainly do. As the Commissioner of the South African Revenue Service, as an education practitioner, as somebody who continually fights for the rights of those that are vulnerable within society and always wants to make sure that they are built up within a community. So we draw on these similarities between these different types of leaders, and we thank you for being a cooperative servant leader to our country. I'm going to ask you to deliver your President's address before the opera singers sing, in case we lose you, as I know you are joining us from Cape Town and the connection may be a little bit unstable. We thank you for joining us this evening and for addressing our newly inducted doctoral graduates, both here and those that are not in South Africa. Thank you very much, Professor Edward Kisveta, the President of the Da Vinci Institute and Commissioner of the South African Revenue Services. You seem to be on mute, Prof.
There we go. Good evening, and as they say, all protocol observed, recognizing the leadership of Da Vinci Institute, as well as the wonderful graduates celebrate, deservedly so, culmination of their academic trajectory. I also have to tell you that I was getting anxious because I'm with the Minister of Finance and we're about to give the President a briefing on the medium-term budget policy statement that will be delivered on Wednesday. But I have excused myself for a few minutes. When you listen to my brief welcome address to the dinner that you will share this evening, a traditional and very well entrenched practice that we have instituted. When you listen to my address, you'd be forgiven were you to conclude that Professor Alexander Scheffer and I collaborated ahead of this wonderful graduation celebration. But I assure you, it is more an evidence of our Da Vincian connectedness than collaborating actively ahead of time. I also can assure you that I did not receive a briefing from Professor Marla Kroner. You know, I'm always impressed listening to the dissertation summaries, to wonderful concepts such as integral wisdom, embodied healing and collective regeneration, African communitypreneurship, the framework for community-based socio-technical development, women empowerment, social transformation, community universities. I'm always impressed by the strong focus on communities, on social transformation, and a search for inclusive impact that our doctoral themes and programs amplify. I'm particularly pleased also about the focus on women empowerment. So as I welcome you to the subsequent President's Dinner, as part of our traditional way of celebrating your achievement, I want to highlight the importance of our commitment to communities and social transformation. Taking care of each other today and making the world a better place for tomorrow is central to our purpose for being. To do good and to bequeath a gift to the next generation. This is what I call stewardship. The need for food and survival has kept humans, largely our earlier predecessors, as nomadic hunter-gatherers. But the fact that we can trace the earliest geographical evidence of human settlements as far back to the Middle Paleolithic age, more than 3,000 years ago, or whether the civilizations, the earliest complex civilizations of Mesopotamia and the first city-states of the 4th millennium BCE, and later in Egypt, or the civilizations that thrived in the Indus Valley around 2500 BCE, or in China a millennium later, or Central America around 1200 BCE. History continuously gives us a hint that we as people have always had the yearning to exist as communities and not as individuals. Of course, technological developments over time has made this inherent desire for coexistence possible. One such technological advancement is the earliest form of aqueducting, conveying water, so that our forefathers did not have to get up in the morning to find water, but they could bring water to where they were around 312 BCE. And thus the precursor to human settlements, subsistence farming, and the domestication of animals developed at an exponential rate. Human connectedness were advanced through progress in areas such as cooperative forms of production, mobility, and telecommunications, to mention a few. But technology also threatens that human connectedness and a sense of community. I think of the decline and the demise of dinner conversations around the table when families met in the evenings after a hard day, sharing experiences with each other about their day. And that was disrupted by TV dinners, void of conversational engagements. I think of personal devices, which also means that everyone disappears into their own world, even as they sit physically together, but are emotionally and intellectually apart. COVID-19 didn't help in this regard when it exposed us to hard lockdowns, social distancing, and the virtualization of meetings and events that traditionally would take place in person. Whilst bringing convenience, it also threatens our human connectedness. At SARS, we talk about the evolving interplay between data, technology, and people. I think of it as a beautiful symphony where people remain the indispensable creative genius. It is this human element that brings the symphony, the precious gift. It is this human element that brings to the symphony the precious gifts of empathy, passion, compassion, sharing, and caring that no amount of data science and technological enablement can produce. So my message to the doctoral graduates today is this. Please, as you consider your role, and I now borrow from Professor Alexander, as you consider your role as passionate pioneers of human healing and development, that you approach this with a genuine humility and an immense sense of privilege as true stewards of our natural resources on the one hand, along with the genius of our human endowment, whether physical, intellectual, emotional, psychological, or spiritual. And that we use this to create value for communities where you come from, countries that gives you a sense of national identity, as well as our common world, place that